Hello, welcome to book club. Today, me and the boys, we're reading the Tao Te Ching. Sorry, and we're reading part one. I realized after our last episode that there's actually two parts, so we ended up not reading the entire thing. We just read part one. But if you read the entire thing, hey, good on you. You'll be ready for the next episode.
Better
But
than
you,
us because we're lazy bum.
yeah, so like usual, before we get into part one of the Tao Te Ching, I'm gonna start with Connor this time. Connor, what's been going on? How you been
Ooh.
working like usual?
Working like usual. I'm on call right now, so hopefully I don't get any calls during this. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
think it might be a
just
short
chilling.
one, so is my assumption, but
He's
we'll see.
working on a weekend like usual.
Man
Can't
does
help
not
it.
take a break.
HVAC is slowing down though. It's starting
I
to
was
get
Yes!
gonna
a little
ask,
Coming
bit
into
yeah.
them,
cooler.
coming into them winter months.
Yes!
Hmm
It's no longer in the
Yes!
hundreds, so that's a
That's
plus,
No
true.
longer in the hundreds. People are starting to chill out a bit.
The
Yeah,
mornings have
we're
been really nice, extremely
Yes.
nice.
yes. That's
Yes.
that's what I
But
did
n-
yesterday to read this book. I went outside on the balcony and just chilled and read
hmm
in the morning. It was great.
My
mhm.
morning routine has now become when I wake up, the first thing I do is go outside and sit on the hammock and let the sun hit me because it's the sun
Oh,
plus the chilly slight breeze under the trees. It's just immaculate.
that's
Such a
nice.
such a vibe. I mean, as
Dude,
for
when I have
as
like
for that's true.
long quoted work, like I just try to get everything done by noon, and then I'm just chilling for the rest of the day, and it's so
There we
nice.
go.
Are you usually able to get stuff done, like all done by noon?
If
Or
I have like a big quoted job, like doing like a compressor replacement or something, I can usually get the system on a vacuum by noon. And then
Hmm.
that vacuum usually lasts about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So
And then the rest of the time you're kind of just hanging out.
yeah, I'm just hanging out. I get lunch, read my books.
There we go.
Gotta
Well,
do what when you can.
I'm happy to hear you're getting
Yeah.
some more free time, some more
No,
rest. You
yeah,
deserve it,
Don't gotta
man.
don't gotta hound yourself down with the audiobook
yeah.
anymore because
You don't have to be dying.
Hmm
I would actually have to replay it so many times if I listened to the audiobook of this book
Yeah,
and
Dude,
everything else. It would not bode well for me.
Dude,
it's
I did
hard.
have to. I did have to. Like at
It's
least
so
three or
hard.
four times.
It just your mind
Uh,
starts spacing out so easily for some reason. I
Especially
honestly
the
don't know
poem
why,
parts.
but
when it starts
especially this
rhyming,
poem part.
I think my mind just has like a natural like aversion to rhyming. It starts rhyming, and I'm like, what is this? Why am I reading this?
David, what's up? What's been going on with you?
Well, I guess I've been updating our website and trying to look more into the expansion of our company because big changes will be coming in the next couple of months. Very big changes, and I am
Whoa.
excited for it. New and exciting adventures coming up ahead that I will not get into until it happens because
Ah,
can't
Oh,
jinx it.
you're gonna
oh
tickle our
man.
fan. It's gonna
I was
When
piss
when
them
it
off,
when
gonna
it
man.
starts to happen, I'll let y'all know and I'll keep y'all in
good.
the know.
Can we get the first official press release of
The
these
first official press
announcements
release,
on the book
yes.
club?
On the book club.
You
I'll
did
Book
not.
club
specifically save it for
exclusive.
book club. I won't even say anything on website or anything else of of the company. It'll just be on book club.
All
Uh,
that'll be on the website will be just a link to the
the
episode.
book club.
Yeah.
Yo,
You know,
It's a good idea.
it's kind of a good idea.
our fans come first. All right, our fans come first.
Oh
Nah, but
man.
yeah, I gotta know where that next location's dropping, David. You gotta let us know
That's what I'm
first.
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. Big changes, big changes. But
That's
That's
exciting,
exciting.
man.
that's what's going on for me.
Especially small business type stuff where it's expanding. That's like
One day, it won't be a small
that's the
business anymore. That's the goal.
that's like the most exciting part.
Yes, sir.
Dude, what has been going on? A lot of work. Traveled a lot. I went to the A&M Career Fair last week.
Yeah,
And that
go
was
Aggies.
yeah, gig 'em. Yeah, by the way, defeated Notre Dame last night. Gig
Who
'em.
win? Oh no, we're 3 and
Gig
0.
'em.
We're 3 and 0,
Yep,
right?
3-0 with a win over a top 10 team. That's going to be a top 10
Dude,
A&M, is all
we're
I'm saying.
looking
Looking
starting
kind
off
of good.
nice. We're starting off
Looking
nice.
kind of
Are
good.
we looking this good last time and then we lost to a no-name school?
Will you please shut your
Dude,
mouth,
dude,
okay? Please keep that to yourself
no
next
name
time.
schools, they get us, all right? We get overconfident.
We
Hopefully we're
have
not gonna get
something
overconfident
about
this time.
no-name schools,
I don't know what it is, if I'm being for real.
It's kind of
It's pretty
ridiculous.
bad.
But yeah, it was interesting to like be on the other side and be the one kind of trying to I've realized I'm a really good recruiter, so I'm really good at like getting people excited to work at my job. I'm not as good about figuring out whether or not they would be good at working for our job. I just tell everybody,
Like, hey,
to get
yo,
excited
apply, go
about
for
this.
it.
I know, and part of me feels bad because I feel like there's a bunch of people that I can tell I've made them excited. They're like, wait, I want to work for this company now. And then I look at the resume and I'm like, oh, you cannot. You do not have
You
what
don't
we
have the
need. I am
qualifications.
sorry. I've got you all excited for no reason. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
what
Build
you're
them up
supposed
only
to do though, you're
build them
supposed
up
to
just
just
to
look at
shoot
their
them down.
resume.
yeah,
You can't just like
right.
look at the resume and be like, "Oh man, you suck. I'm sorry, you can't join." Like
It's
you kind of have to treat
hard.
them the same, no? Like you
There's
have
literally
to.
some
Shoot.
people where I see the resume and instantly upon reading it, I'm like, you're just not like I want to hand this back to you and tell you that we're not going to hire you, but you can't do that. It's,
Yeah,
it's too
no,
much.
it's kind of messed up.
Yeah, and you got to let them get their reps in. Like you're just
True,
one of like 20 people,
true.
and if you cut them off, that's you're making them lose out on a rep. So it's you
And dude,
gotta
it sucks to like wait for the next like company to talk to too at the career
yeah,
fairs. It sucks
exactly.
so much.
So sometimes you got to let them go. But yeah, it was interesting to be a part of that process. I've gone a couple other times, but it's usually been with other engineers. This time I went with the head of HR in our company. And so I got to learn a lot about the recruiting process and also like what it's like to be the head of HR for a company, which was really interesting. I realized that like I love people who are like really good at things that I have no desire to be good at or no interest in because they just have a wealth of knowledge that I would otherwise never have access to. And usually people who are good at what they do are great at explaining it in a way that makes it interesting to me. So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Got to experience that. Nice.
Other than that, it's been work. I've been surprisingly uneventful these past 2 weeks, which I've been loving because oh my
It's
god,
a little bit calm, just like how the Tao is meant to be
yeah, it's about to
calm.
it's about to pick up soon though. I'm actually going to be in Fort Worth this upcoming week.
How about you, Howie? Saving best for
Uh,
last.
Mm.
I've kind of been the same thing. I
Well,
haven't been too eventful. Well, did you have another thing, Seth? You did pause. You did pause for a
no, no,
second there.
no, no, no. Just,
I
just
think he was commenting on the best for last.
yeah. I don't know how.
Uh,
Just
All
can't.
right, how
wait.
about
Okay,
last
well, you
but
got something
not
to say? You
least?
got something to
There
say?
we go. Much better.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that. That's all right. Um, Now mine. I'm kind of the same thing. I've just kind of been working. I haven't been like super busy. Nicole and I are still kind of the apartment is a lot. We've been working on it a lot, and it looks a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. It's starting to really come together, and so that's really cool and exciting. We got
You got
two
a pretty.
bookshelves now.
I was gonna say you got an impressive
Yeah,
bookshelf behind you.
we have this is
That was
my bookshelf right here, and then hers is this one right here.
that's
Dude,
So we have
she's
our
kind of
bookshelves.
mogging you,
No,
Howie.
I'm losing. I'm losing the bookshelf game.
she's
We
mogging you
we
hard, bro.
actually we actually did a book run, or well, we did a book run, but she definitely had like a lot of like a whole list of books that she wanted to get. Whereas, I'm over here just kind of like looking through. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, that looks cool. She came prepared, man. So so yeah, she got her bookshelf filled up. Mine's a little lacking right now. I
It's
have to
okay.
start looking
We're
into
working
my
on
stuff.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a work in
To be fair,
progress.
to be fair, you're already mogging the rest of us. So like,
That's true.
True.
You have a
True.
bookshelf.
Yeah, when you look at it, like relatively, like yeah, I'm losing, but like relatively to like a lot of other people, yeah, no,
my
it's
bookshelf
Yes.
is right behind the
Oh my
CNC
oh, I
machine.
gosh.
It's
see
like
it.
right
I see
I
them.
see it. No,
All
I
eight
see
of
it.
them.
Yeah.
there.
But
What
yeah,
do
no,
we
I mean
got?
other than like we kind of got our apartment set up, it's looking pretty good. Other than that, I've just kind of been working. We've gotten some new hires on our team at my
Ooh.
company. So
So you're
I've
no longer at the bottom of the
no,
totem
I
pole.
haven't been, and I was mentoring them, like one or two
Whoa.
of them. And so that was fun. I've kind of known this for a bit, but I really enjoyed teaching. And so to kind of like mentor people is such a I don't know, it's just really fun. It's really I really enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
if I wasn't like so interested in like business and stuff, I probably might have like actually gone down the professor route because it just sounds so it just sounds so fun to me. I remember David, you were mentioning that one time how you talked about one of your favorite teachers was like, oh, my favorite moment about teachers is when they get an aha moment. And I was
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
dude, yes,
Seeing the
exactly.
spark in their eyes.
It's so
And she was
cool.
definitely one of my favorite teachers by far, and I will forever remember her.
Yeah, man. Because it's so fun getting to see like the people you teach kind of like learn, grow, and like do things. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, other than that, I don't have anything else. If we're ready to see what the Tao has to teach us,
Yeah. Speaking
you
of
know.
teachings, oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
I'm working on my
Hey,
Nice.
transitions. Yep. I've been
Nice.
doing
Nice. I
beautiful,
it.
love that.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Another ancient text going back after we modernized a little bit with
Yeah.
the Myth of Sisyphus. Also, I did
Yes.
end up reading the appendix, and one of the books that I was told about called Metamorphoses was on there, and now it's making me want to really read it. So that might be a endeavor I choose to go upon.
Do it, man.
Like that.
Dude,
But yeah,
I mean, that was a nice thing about reading that book, and I think like just books in general, is that you get kind of like references, like other books, so that way you can like know, oh, maybe, okay, I'll add that to my collection. I'll start reading that, and kind of like this trail. That's a cool thing about books as well. But the Tao,
Well,
the
yeah, this is
Tao.
this is our
what
most ancient text.
this one
Is it?
was definitely tougher.
I thought it was like around the same as
No, man. This one's
Marcus.
this one's BC.
Oh,
Yeah,
This one's BCE,
this one's a
man. This
long one.
one's
It's not even just BC. It's like on the other side of the world, where we have the Eastern point of view of philosophy as
mhm.
opposed to Western.
Eastern.
Hmm.
And that's cool.
And with that being said, I am, what's the word? It's very interesting to see that the no desires is a very prevalent notion in most philosophies that we've
Y-
touched upon so far.
Yes.
Yes.
That was
It
definitely
seems
one of the main things I got from it too is
it seems to be a common theme here. That want is bad for your brain, bad for your
Hmm.
soul.
yeah,
Once clouds your
it
Isn't it
judgment
distracts.
or
interesting though?
anything.
Because like want is such a like pivotal part of our society now, though. Like
Yeah.
consuming
Yes.
is just everything.
It's
It's kind of
consumed.
it is
Yeah.
crazy to see, like, to read all these texts and see how far we've gone in the opposite direction. And
Capitalism, baby.
Capitalism.
yeah,
Consumerism.
well,
Oh, I don't think
that's
it's
something
even
someone mentioned in our earlier from one of our earlier episodes. They said we were a good friend of mine said that we were a capitalist podcast, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea, right?
Connor does
But that's
not like
partly
that.
that's I
I do
know, but
not like
Connor,
it's
that.
it's
Connor
partly
You
because
cringed
gotta
at
well,
work
that.
on it, bro. You gotta work on that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we're gonna have to change
well,
course
I
there,
think
respect.
I feel like this book is a very communist book. Like, I wouldn't even say socialist. Like, I mean, I'll express this idea deeper when we get to the actual point, but I think that the Eastern philosophy in it is at such a, like, it feels like there's some like similarities, but it's actually so different from anything I've ever been exposed to as a modern day American, um, that I feel like there are parts of it that I almost immediately just reject upon like seeing. Um, so I'm really excited to dive into this.
Immediate
Yeah, me
rejection.
too.
I'm excited to hear what you rejected immediately because I have delved into Buddhism, so this wasn't too far off from ideas that I've had in my man. Like I said earlier, Eastern philosophy, especially this one to me, and probably in part due to it being so old, is much more mystical than the logistic puzzle kind of solving method that I felt Albert Camus went
Mm,
with. It was
Hmm.
a lot more of a logical point of view from Albert, and then from Marcus, Marcus is kind of straight cut forward. The most crazy thing was the old language that we had to read. That was probably the hardest
yeah,
part of it, but it was pretty straightforward. Do your best, integrity. This one I felt I got riddles, poems, and I have to really search for the meanings within those riddles and poems.
Yeah,
yes,
no, there that is kind of a historical precedent though when it comes to
Yeah.
even just history books and like China and stuff. Is
Hmm.
like um if you go to look at like try to read stuff about like the Three Kingdoms period, with like Liu Bei and all that and Cao Cao. A lot of it is just a fairy tale or reads like a fairy tale. It'll
What
be
are
like,
Sorry to cut you off. It's called in Buddhism, I think, konans, something like that. That's like the term. It's supposed to be a story to where you get the metaphor out of that story.
right.
Mm.
But you could be like reading the history book about like the Three Kingdoms period, and it'll be like, all right, so Liu Bei attacked this village and burned it to the ground, and then a dragon came in, and it's like it goes crazy, man.
Speaking of some mystical, spiritual stuff, I think that's a lot of like the Eastern philosophy stuff. Is it's so much more like kind of like what you all were talking about, like with the metaphors, and but like also in like a spiritual sense
Hmm.
too. And it kind of like abstracts the metaphors, right? It abstracts things, and that's what definitely makes it a little bit tougher to understand, especially with like this thing called the Tao. It's
Yeah, the
like
very like, just starting off, the very first point for me was like, okay, the
Yeah,
Tao.
it just hits you right at the beginning, like,
it
oh,
tells
this
you
is what this is gonna be
exactly.
like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it says
Um,
that the Tao that can be trodden is not the enduring and unchanging Tao. The name that can be named is not the enduring and unchanging name. So it hits you with the, yo, what is this guy talking about right off
immediately
the
just throws you
bat?
into Taoism without giving you the the background. It's just
Without
all right.
giving you
This is what it is.
anything. The,
Like,
the idea
dude,
that
what?
like the idea that like the thing that can be described or seen or shown or what like that you can like have a material form or like understand it, that thing is not the actual Tao.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yep.
thing that actually like runs through all like infinity, through
Mm-hmm.
time, space, and all that stuff. Because what
Yeah.
I assume he's just saying that it's just incomprehensible, and the best we can do is to do like a mimic version of it that we have learned. He says something also later, not to get too far because I know it's a bit farther later, but he mentioned something about how um basically we only have the wisdom of the Tao from the past, the ancients that we know of, and the best we can do is use that and like build off of it to kind of get our understanding of the Tao.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's an eternal thing, it's timeless, we'll never be able to fully understand it. And I
Well
think
And
said.
that's
something to note as well is him saying the name that can be named is not enduring and unchanging name, right? It's I think he's kind of saying is like you can't really put it into words, and language as a tool has always been kind of iffy with that. Even like the Greeks thought the same thing. They're like, words kind of suck. So
kind of
the
limited.
best way to
Yeah.
yeah, it's a limiting factor. We can only express so much of what we think with our mouths, you know.
Hmm.
The way that I kind of understood it, in a sense, was the people who have, I guess, again, language. The people who have quote unquote understood the Tao cannot tell you exactly how to get it or to understand it because I think, like Buddhism, there is no clear cut one size. It's your own journey of understanding. And yeah, there's no clear cut one size fits all. It is very much your own journey. And through your own journey, you have these reference points of how to get there. But again, everything for everyone is different. So to be able to fully explain it to somebody who has not lived your experiences would essentially amount to nothing.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of these philosophies too, it's not really something that you just kind of like can be told what it is and then
Hmm.
you just get it. It's definitely something that like yes, you can be told, you can be guided to like get to this point, but it's definitely something that you have to have this feeling for and understand. Like someone can't just
Yeah,
make you
it's more
understand it.
intuitive than it is
Yeah,
logical, from
exactly.
what
And
I'm getting.
that's kind of definitely something
That's a
because
great way to put it.
I've read this entire thing. So there's a
How we
lot of other
flexing real
Eastern
fast.
philosophies in here. And
Couldn't
so
help
Yeah,
himself.
I've read this whole damn
It's
book.
like the appendix last episode. He just has to keep bringing it up.
but my point is here that with that the commonality in Eastern philosophies is definitely just a feeling that you get it. And it's something that takes work. It takes time because, like I said, no one's gonna be able to tell you how to get this feeling. It's something you just kind of have to read and maybe read multiple times. until
Mm-hmm.
it finally like
Mm-hmm.
something clicks and you're like, oh wow. Because like in here, like the Tao, right? It's like supposed to be like this feeling of calmness, stillness. You return to your root, and you're calm again. And
Yeah.
that's a feeling, right? And it's definitely something that you have to just kind of take a second, breathe, and then really feel it. I think meditation, and that's a big thing used in
Mm-hmm.
philosophy. Meditation helps with that to get that feeling as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah, and I think with that being said, I do have a question I wanted to ask you guys about this first, the embodying the Tao section, and it's our first poem. It says right here, always without desire we must be found. If its deep mystery we would sound. But if desire always within us be, its outer fringe is all that we shall see. It's very clear that we mentioned this earlier, but the lack of desire is something that they're trying to express will be good and help you have order in your soul, right? And this is an idea we've confronted many times.
Mm-hmm.
But this poem leaves room to allow for an existence of desire within your soul. And in some ways, it feels like it admits that you might not be able to completely get rid of all your wants, right? And then it kind of prescribes this idea if desire always within us be, so if you can't get rid of it, its outer fringe is all that we shall see. And that's a great example of something that I don't think actually, like, logically, it doesn't tell you anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what is the outer fringe of desire? What does that mean?
I
Like,
think I think it's in
The
this
outer
case
fringe is
refers to the Tao.
Taoism.
Yeah,
okay.
like you'll only be able to see the
Oh,
outer
I
fringe of
see.
Tao
Mm-hmm.
of the Tao.
I see. So
Yeah.
it's
Mm-hmm.
saying if you can't get rid of your desire, you'll never be able to fully understand the Tao. That's
Yeah,
what it's saying.
exactly. It's like you'll be blinded and you won't be able to like
Yeah,
Oh,
you
it's
only be
kind
on
of
like
what I
the outer
kind of got
fringe
from it.
over here of the Tao. Like you won't be able to like know what's going
that
on.
makes a lot more sense.
Yes, yes.
It again, them poems, dude.
Yeah, they get
There are a
you.
good bit of them.
Thank God I have you guys to ask my question.
That's nice seeing
Um,
that book club, man. You get if
Yeah.
things are confusing, now we get a new perspective.
Hmm.
Um, I did to kind of move on here to like the nourishment of the person and keeping the people at rest part. Because it's kind of like gets into like how you can create somewhat of a government, right? And how to like kind of go about treating with people. He says that in I think part 3, he constantly tries to keep them, the people, without knowledge and without desire, and where are those who have knowledge to keep them from presuming to act on it. When there is this abstinence from action, good order is universal. And it almost sounds to me what feels like a like almost like a totalitarian
Yeah,
society
this is one of
because
the things that I immediately reject. I
it's
read
kind
this
of
and I'm like,
like
I don't like that.
he sprinkles this throughout a couple times in this part 1 about like having the people be calm and at rest and like no disorder or anything like that, right? But in a sense, it's
with
at the cost of like taking away their independence, you know?
with this being said, I do want to put into context that this book is presumed to be have written when
True.
China was very much broken up into many, many sub territories, and I think this is around when what's it called, the Hundred School of Thoughts kind of came about, where there was a lot of different philosophical, Eastern philosophical ideas coming about to try to bring order and simplicity back to China, because, like I said, it was really broken up into different clans during the time that this was conceived and written.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm
and I
looking at
don't.
this like, sorry, go for it, Seth.
I was just gonna say, and I don't even think it's necessarily wrong. I think that I would agree that in a world where no one has want or desire, and people all have the same exact kind of knowledge, yeah, it probably is a lot more peaceful. People are probably more content to just remain in their station. Um, in fact, you can see through history lots of examples of new knowledge being brought to people and that causing uprisings or rebellions. Think of like the printing press with like Martin Luther, you know. Um, but I don't know if I think that's a good thing, you
Yeah, see,
know.
that's the question, right? It's almost like
Yeah.
like an opinion. And
It definitely depends on the context of the history and the moment of society that you are applying this to, is what I think.
it's just the question too I see here is like, yes, we can hope for, calmness. And I mean, the other part that was crazy to me when I look at this again is like number two, and keeping the people at rest, it says weaken their wills, which is wild. So yeah, I mean, like we can do
Mhm.
like that can happen maybe in a perfect world.
You know, something I did right here, sorry to cut you off, is real fast, is I literally wrote for keeping the people at rest, conflicting with other books I've read.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
literally made that note for myself.
because it kind of, I mean, this is the Eastern portion, right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
that they do have the different thoughts. It's not as independent. It's a lot more traditional, right? And so that's kind of the idea. But like, I don't think it's like actually possible though. The issue is that in a perfect world, sure, you can have everyone be like that, but I don't think it's possible to have literally everyone be like that. Like, there's probably going to be
Yeah.
an individual or two, in a society that will will not will have a desire to for power or what
Mhm.
have you, and then that'll happen. Like some kind of like they'll try to do some kind of revolution or something, um, which would cause disarray. So, is this more of a like hopeful point of view than it is a practical,
Hmm.
I
But
mean, it may kind of just bleed into what we were talking about earlier about how it's something you never really understand. And like these are things that they've learned about the Tao, but how to actually implement them, whether they're actually possible, is something that might be beyond our current understanding, right? Where it's kind of like these are ideals we've learned. We've seen situations where this was able to be achieved, and we see how it works, and we see how it causes order, right? But how to apply this to the whole world is something that we haven't quite figured out yet, or know if it's even like something we could do. Because I think also it feels like a necessary prerequisite to achieving this is that everybody believes in the Tao. Like if
yeah,
anybody like again, I this is kind of the point where I was like, this feels like a communist book. And I don't mean that in the way that it's like communist ideology, but on part 4, the Fountainless says we should blunt our sharp points and unravel the complications of things. We should temper our brightness and bring ourselves into agreement with the obscurity of others. Kind of this idea of being one community, right? And not fighting with each other, not having conflict, blunting our sharp points. These feel like, communist ideologies, right? To me, which I wrote in the margin, is individuality capitalism, or is that like, is there room for individuality within this like framework where we try to become more united and temper our desires, right?
I think it's a
um
great question. I kind of want to hear Connor's opinion.
yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, like,
Oh, also want to be
I'm
clear. I chose communism, not socialism. Want to be very specific with my wording.
Politically
yeah.
correct.
So here's the thing. I am very much a we need more bricks kind of person. I'm all about, individualism. I'm all about, going against the grain and all that other good stuff. And I feel like governments, a whole point of a government is to basically, protect its ideally should be to protect its citizens and, kind of, you know, pursue the good for them, right? Um, that being said, it's a lot easier for governments to control the people if all of them believe in the same thing.
Hmm.
So it is it's a double-edged sword, like this whole kind of topic, because it is like if everyone were to think the same thing, you would have more peace inherently, because that just makes sense. But individualism is a very important part of being human, I think. You
Hmm.
know, and maybe that is just the capitalism that I grew up with. talking. But at the same time, I feel like you can be an individualist and still like you could still
I,
be a part of like a community. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like because
Yeah.
it,
I
it,
get what
it
you're
depends
saying.
on how you look at it. Because like if you're a community of individualists who believe in needing more bricks, going against the grain, and kind of rebelling against all these like totalitarian institutions, like we are seeing today, um, then yeah, I mean that is a community of thinking the same way. See what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
think that I think that this can be done in the fact of like kind of because a big part of this too is like each person has their purpose and they do their purpose, right? And they keep to that. And I think what this is trying to say is you don't want you don't want to give your people the idea that they can have this something better because that's the desire, right? Is the desire for something more, something better. And
Right.
so you kind of like try to take that away because that can cause a disorder, kind of like how this book is saying. But if each person does have their purpose, um, they can find their place in the community while keeping their individuality, right? It's like an author. An author isn't about to cause this whole entire upheaval for the sake of fame and fortune, or that's what they're saying that they should not be doing, right? That's what we're trying to keep them from. And I think that's been a common theme throughout a lot of these too, is like not to do stuff for the desire, for fame and for fortune, and all this stuff. We've talked about it quite a bit, but they still have their individuality because they're writing something that comes from like their heart, some like there's like a story that they are creating, and you can see that like like a blacksmith or something, right? They have their individuality in the work they create while sticking to their point in life. It's not about taking other people out for the fame and fortune, and that's I think what they're saying,
Yeah.
trying to say that they're trying to avoid.
That's what I was gonna say is like you have to describe what that desire is. Because like if that desire is like, to be as a community, to progress as a community, all that good stuff, and that leads to better lives for everyone, then that's great. But if your sole desire as an individual is to say, fuck everyone else, I want to be in a better place, then that is a problem.
I do kind of agree that it's not. That's probably not what it actually means. It's probably trying to say like it's probably not trying to take my interpretation of it, saying just keep everyone down.
Yeah.
Keep them like so that way they have no will or anything like
Be a
that.
sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think
I
it's
feel
really
like
trying to
that.
say that. I think it's trying to say like just try to make it so that way everyone's calm. No one can have these influences to put out to have ideas in their head to like start this upheaval, disarray. Just make sure everyone is calm and just can just do their thing, and they just do
Mhm.
their thing, right?
Well, I think two things. I think first, my initial reaction to that being, oh, they just want us to be sheep, is probably the inherent capitalist and Western ideology biases speaking, right?
Yes.
Where I just see this idea and my immediate response is like, what are you trying to like silence me or something? You know?
Keep me down.
Uh, but I
Yeah,
do think to speak to kind of your point about it's less about like desire as a whole and like what desire is in general. Skip ahead a little bit, but on part 7, sheathing the light, it says the reason why heaven and earth are able to endure and continue thus long is because they do not live of or for themselves. And then in part 2 it says is it not because he has no personal and private ends that therefore such ends are realized? I think that kind of speaks to the idea that like you can have ends, but they shouldn't be personal or private. They should be for other people, you know.
you should just be doing things that are good, and you're not like doing them for the personal desire. You're just kind of like doing things, like how the author writes, how the actor
An
plays.
absurd work almost. An
Yeah,
absurd work of not doing the work to feel any gratitude or any sort of accomplishment afterwards. Doing the work purely
just
for
to
the
do the
sake
work.
of doing the work.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then there's a good poem for that
Yes, there
where it
is.
says, the work is done, but how no one can see. 'Tis this that makes the power not cease to be. The idea that there's power in things being accomplished and not being like, oh, I did this and this is how I did it. Just it's done. The work exists, and that's beautiful. Let's keep going. You know.
I think that's definitely a big portion of this book is the idea to do your thing without any clear benefit. You're just letting things happen, you know? And that's like a big part of the Tao is that you're not supposed to push or like try to bend things or just like kind of go like it's not. I'm trying to think of like the best way to describe it, but you're not trying to cause an upheaval. Okay, I'm just gonna go with that. You're just
Yeah.
like letting
Well,
things happen while doing your thing.
Following the flow of the
Yeah, you're
universe
just
is what
following the
Tao would
flow. That's
want.
that's
And
the idea of the Tao.
yeah,
yeah,
and I think that's like the big distinguishing factor, and sorry to get political, but between like true communism and capitalism
it's okay. I
is, you
started
know,
this, so
yeah. So basically it's like in true communism, it's like, hey, this is what I'm good at, so this is what I'll do for the betterment of the community. I don't need recognition, I don't need fame from it, right? In
Mhm.
capitalism, it's like, hey, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm going to do for the betterment of myself, and if that helps the community, so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it mentions this in part 8, the placid and contented nature. It says the highest excellence is like that of water. The excellence of water appears in its benefiting all things and its occupying, without striving, to the contrary, the low place which all men dislike. Hence its way is near to that of the Tao. And I wrote in the margin, water takes the form of its container. You
I
know,
Did this give you
in the
a
margin
backup
in the
on?
margin I literally wrote Bruce Lee.
the
That's all I wrote.
That's
I just wrote
hilarious.
Bruce Lee.
way of water.
It's tying into it, tying together,
Mm,
but given that emptiness of water, the flowlessness, the formlessness of it, like you said, and like we said earlier, is what allows it to benefit all and give its inherent value to the betterment of the whole, right?
hmm And I think to kind of talk about how this plays into some of the previous ideas we've encountered, I feel like this idea of like not moving along your station, not wanting fame or fortune is a pretty strong line between all the philosophies we've read so far.
Yes, very.
Um, and I think it's very clear to see how that relates to meditations, Marcus Aurelius, because he's really big about um, actions that benefit your community, right? And not acting as an individual, not acting as if a branch like having fallen from the rest of the tree, right? Um, but I was wondering with the myth of Sisyphus, it feels like some of his ideas kind of allowed room for people who act for themselves in some ways. Like I think of the actor a lot. Probably my favorite part of the book, where what he's doing is a service to the community, right? Allowing people to experience these lives. But the reason he's doing it is almost for his own means, for his own soul's enrichment. Maybe I misunderstood it. And so I think it's interesting that he still like disregards fame and fortune. And it's not that like there's a for Camus it feels like there's not necessarily a problem in searching for something that like fulfills your soul as long as it's not, as long as you do it with the knowledge of the absurd in mind. Um
Yes. I do think that
Fulfilling your
there's definitely
soul.
some things Camus was like, you know, this guy does have the absurd mind, but probably should not do the thing this guy's doing,
yeah, that's a
specifically
good point.
Don Juan. Um, but
Don Juan, dude.
but I do think that that's. I was going to actually ask about that with regards to community and how like, the myth of Sisyphus is kind of different. But
hmm
yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's kind of it does leave it open to interpretation and it does feel a bit more selfish in a way because you are doing it almost because you want to. You're not trying to do it for the sake of the community. but I do think that there is a little bit of similarity between all three in this regards of like, doing something for your community or doing something that you want to do. And it's the idea of doing something that you're really good at and
Hmm.
just doing it, but you're not doing it for like selfish external purposes. You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So you're not doing
Yeah.
it to like that in a way that harms people. You're not doing it like to harm people. You're not doing it to
Hmm.
gain up in life at the expense of others. You're just doing your thing. And
To
usually, if
expand
you
on,
just do
oh,
your thing, the community will benefit.
I was gonna say to expand on that, going back to the actor specifically, there was never a point where I saw where it was the actor is doing it purely out of fame, like you said, Seth. It was purely out of enriching their own soul. There was no malice in that. It was the desire to be fulfilled, right? And I mean, he to me, Albert made it pretty clear and cut that look, the contradiction there is he's shedding his own self. He is giving his energy, right, to that life that he gets to play to bring life to the life, to shine a light on it, right? It was
Right.
never, oh, because I am a famous actor, because I want to be famous and get all the riches. It was purely out of the enjoyment of the action.
Yes, so I want to bring a point to that actually. So there's a translation error with meditations because what Albert Camus said in his was actor, but what he meant was like a stage actor, not like an actor
Yeah.
like we think with like a movie actor. It's not
Like on
like,
a
oh,
play.
Brad Pitt's in this movie, I'm gonna watch this movie because Brad Pitt's in it. It was like oh, this is a play about King Henry VIII. I want to hear about King Henry VIII. And this actor plays King Henry VIII to bring light onto that life. Because his
Mm,
life means nothing, but that life meant something,
right.
kind
And
of.
like no one knows who that person is playing King Henry VIII. All they know is the character that they are playing.
Right.
Mm, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Well, okay. So the first thought that comes to my mind is how do you guys think things like engineering and automation play into this idea? Because so there's a project that I've been working on, my job. I love my job. I love doing it. I love automating things, making it easier for people. But like the result of what I'm doing, somebody's getting laid off. Like somebody's going to lose their job because I made it easier for everybody else. Am I working in contradiction with this idea of doing something for myself? Because it feels like my actions might be directly hurting somebody, even if they might be making it easier for other people.
So this is
But that's
my
not why I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it because I'm interested in it. Like this is what makes my brain go, and it does provide value in some ways, right? But it might not provide value to everybody. Um,
I
and I
think
think
So,
about no, you guys can go.
all right, you can go.
so I was going to say that's still for the betterment of the community, though. If you find a better way for a system to automate itself or for a better way for the system to run, then it's just helping the
Mm.
community. Because
Oh,
it's
I
in the
see
same
now.
vein. Like for me, right? If I'm like a good technician, right? I go and I get hired on this company. My whole job is, to service HVAC units and make sure people have cool air. Well, if I'm better than another tech and they only have so many people on the roll, then they let that tech go. That's not really my fault. I'm just
Yeah.
doing what I'm good at because it's for the betterment of the community. Maybe he wasn't the greatest tech, but he could go to another community and be the best tech in that community. Or he can pursue a different career path and maybe that's better for the community as a result.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
and I
kind
guess
of.
in
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I guess in some ways that's where capitalism fails, right? Because that guy gets laid off and he doesn't have much recourse to go somewhere else or to be something else. There's not a lot of safety nets for people who aren't already billionaires, right? And so you get pushed out like that, and instead of being given an opportunity to find where you fit in the community, to find the best way for you to contribute, you're kind of just deemed useless, right?
You're shit out of luck, man.
That's
Yeah.
that's what capitalism's all about. It's survival of the fittest,
It is
dog eat dog.
survival of the fittest.
Yep.
But I do. So this is what I was gonna say. I was gonna basically gonna say what Connor said to some extent. And it's funny because I was actually gonna say I don't know if this is because of my capitalistic view or my glass half full kind of view, but I think
Hmm.
you are. This is my idea behind automation. Obviously now it's becoming bigger, and I'm kind of involved in it since I'm in computer science, even though I'm not really working on AI stuff. But by taking away that job from someone who works at a company, I see it as giving them an opportunity as well, because it is survival of the fittest, at least in our world, in capitalistic world. And the opportunity, as you guys said, and I think that that's a really good point. Like maybe a different society, the opportunity could be a lot easier to be done for them to
Mm.
pursue, like again, their purpose in a sense, right? Maybe like working for someone and doing this one thing wasn't necessarily, like, isn't really their purpose, but they just need a job, right? But by now
Mm.
kind of being out of, out of that job, they get this opportunity to try to start their thing, their purpose, and do what it is that they go and do. Because like another thing too is like you hear like people who become lawyers or doctors or what have you because of pressures from the like their family or external factors, but they hate it, and
Mm.
so like they wish they could do something else. So maybe you gave someone that opportunity to do their something else.
Right.
Um, and
It's definitely
that
glass
could be
half
starting a
full.
business,
Yeah,
and they
I,
could
I
use their thing to start a business. But
I'm definitely kind
Yeah.
of in the same boat. But with that being said, I gotta say it would definitely be a privilege to consider it entirely an opportunity of finding
Yeah.
yeah,
a new
especially
role.
like in
It
the
would.
capitalistic
Hmm.
world we are in.
Yeah. But I think that is a inherent flaw in capitalism is I mean, it is all capitalism as it should be a meritocracy, right? Whoever does the best at their job should be the one in the position. I feel
Hmm.
like
Mm.
that's how most societies should run, you know? I think that's just better for everyone. Whoever is the best at something should be the one doing it.
Hmm.
But I feel like capitalism pursues it in the wrong way because there is no avenue to help people that are pushed out. It is just
Mm.
Yeah,
at the bottom line, just how much money is the company making? You know,
and people
if I can
can
save
like
money here, then that's good.
Yeah.
Go
people
ahead, Alex.
can do that. It just, even if you are really good at something, the issue is such a, at least in capitalism, like even if you are the best, there's such a luck, like a part of luck involved for your business to or whatever have you pop off. And so that I agree. I completely agree with you, Connor, that it should be a pure
Yeah,
meritocracy.
and there's an interesting company. I think it's in like California. I can't even remember the dude's name, but he is like the CEO of this company and the owner of the company, and he makes the same amount of money that all of it does. He has like a baseline
Whoa.
salary of $150,000 a year. He takes home $150,000, and every single one of his employees takes home $150,000. It's very socialistically run or
Yeah.
communistically run. It's a community that he's formed. And then fucking the dude from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, comes on TV and he's like, "I hate this guy. This guy sucks. He's breaking the wheel. You know, he CEOs are supposed to make 150% more than their average employee. I hate this
Mm.
guy." You know, it's like, no, man. Like this guy's doing a good thing. He's making sure
Yeah.
that his employees, the people that make him money, are happy. And he's causing them to work harder and being the best in their career, you know?
Yeah.
And
And he's
Well, I
so
created a
mean,
successful company doing this.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of where like because we've talked about like communism and capitalism. I feel like that's kind of where socialism comes in, or some kind of blend of socialism and capitalism. Which, by the way, newsflash, there are socialist aspects of American society. What do you
Capitalism
think
is a
Social Security
combination of a
is,
whole bunch of
guys?
different.
yeah, we don't live in a perfect capitalistic world, if
We
we
don't.
can believe
And
that.
so, and I think that like it's the dream is a world where it is a meritocracy, and the people who are better at what they do get rewarded for that. But there are also safety nets for you to get plenty of opportunities to figure out what that is.
Hmm.
Because, man, good luck being 22 years old and knowing what you're really good at or what your calling is. Like, that would be crazy. Very few people, I think, have that level of self actualization and understanding at that age. And part of it is because our society is not set up in a way to give people a lot of opportunities to try a lot of different things. Part of it is just the nature of the problem that nowadays there's probably like a million different kinds of jobs. There's so many different things to do. It's impossible to expect that by the time you get out of college or high school, which is the time you hit the workforce and lose that safety net, that you would know what that is, right?
I feel like we have become too complex. I mean, there are way too many cogs in the machine at this point. Like,
Well,
because
you
it used to
know,
be easy. You know, if your father was a blacksmith, you're a blacksmith because you're working in the forge from fucking 3 years old.
Yeah, you
You
mhm,
got it
know?
down.
yeah,
And so, like, by the time you are that, 18 years old, you are a master at your craft. Like, there ain't no
yeah,
two ways about it. You are going to be a very productive member of the community. But nowadays, like, we learn broad knowledge of everything. And then at fucking 6th grade, we get into middle school and they're like, all right, you have to fill out this form to say what you want to be when you grow up so you can figure out and choose all your classes for that career path. It's like, I'm in
yeah,
6th grade, man. I just learned what the fuck the fucking water cycle is. How am
yeah.
I supposed to know what I want to do in my
They
life?
just started putting letters in math, and I'm like, that's a new
Yeah.
thing. Like, what are we doing?
I'm telling me
I'm
to
still trying to solve for X, and you're over here asking me if I want to be a nuclear engineer? Like,
math out my entire life.
Yeah,
Well, it's hard though
so,
because I do think like you made a mention of like you start training to be a blacksmith at 3 years old, right? And so it's kind of like you almost like you do kind of need to specialize young in a sense. And
yeah,
it the issue I think is like what I think the idea is. I don't think that they do this good at all. But I think the idea is when they're really young, you give them a broad array of topics, and at that point, a child can maybe be like lean towards one or the other. And then so once they get to like a little bit higher, once they've kind of learned the space broad array of topics, then they can start specializing because I agree, you probably should start specializing young, in order to, by the time you are older, like 18 in the blacksmith example, you're there. You're able to make an impact.
right,
The issue is that we have a lot more freedom to make decisions, and that
right,
the options, the vast amount of options makes it hard for us to actually select something.
right.
So,
No,
yeah.
and that was kind of my point because like that whole that blacksmith example is not a good alternative in my opinion. Because like, what if that kid
yeah.
didn't want to be a blacksmith?
Hmm.
He
Um,
literally doesn't
but
even know
Doesn't know anything other
yeah,
about
his other
something.
options.
he
Just
doesn't
learning the
know any other
skills.
options. His dad was a blacksmith, so he has to be a blacksmith, right? Um, but I think that it's good that you're given freedom nowadays. It's just our system is not set up to handle it. I
Mm-mm.
mean,
Yeah,
and I was there needs to be a revamp of the education system for sure. And there is one going on right now, and I don't think it was the right way to do it of just forcing religion on kids now.
Oh, are they doing that?
What the hell?
They
They
bringing
are,
together
man.
state and church again?
There's this kid that works at my company. I'm not going to say any names, but he went to a technical school instead of a high school. And he's 18 years old and he's already in in the trades and knows a good amount for the HVAC industry because that's what he did in high school for 4 years.
mhm,
So, like that's a good alternative. More kids should be able to, kind of know that's an option. I didn't know fucking technical schools existed when I was in high school. I just went to my high school because that's where all my friends went. But if I
yeah.
knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life, I didn't even think it was an option. I didn't know how to become a tradesman, then I would have done that.
I
Yeah.
think because I think the education system works is like, we give them reading, math, and all this stuff. Like that's what they have to learn in
Right.
in like elementary school. And that does not provide and so like once you get to like middle school or high school, right, then you hear about the different job paths. And then you're supposed to choose when you haven't even known anything about these job paths. And I think
Mhm.
that I don't know how they would do it, but I think maybe in pre-K kind of or elementary school, you obviously can't like be like, okay, so nuclear engineering, we're going to go mess with atoms and stuff because they probably don't.
They're
They're
like,
just learning
what's
what an
an
atom
atom?
is. Yeah, so I think it's something that like maybe would be like a show and tell of like jobs or like videos out there that kids can kind of watch during a certain moment in school that
Mhm.
can help them nail. Oh, yo, that looked cool. I don't know what just happened there,
Yeah,
but that looked kind of cool. And so maybe
this
I don't know. It's hard. It is a
reminds
tough
me of
thing to do,
ETAM.
right?
I
Yeah.
also
And
think sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like the show and tell idea. I'm curious, Howie. Do you think that Engineering 102 did a good job of doing that for you? Do you feel like it, or do you think by the
I
time you got to college you already knew you were going into CS?
Yeah, my issue was that I already knew I was going to do computer science. So like
Hmm.
engineering 102 meant nothing to me because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to do computer science. I honestly don't even
Yeah.
remember engineering 102 if I'm being for real with
Yeah,
you.
dude, I kind of
But
I kind of completely forgot it. Engineering 102 wasn't even a
is
class.
that the Python class?
It's like Python. Well, I don't know. It's weird. I took the honors version, so we learned about like Gantt charts and like project management
Oh, that's
skills
kind of
for some
crazy.
reason. It was kind of cool. But it's also that one where there's all those videos you have to watch, and it pretty much like explains every degree path and like what they're like and what they do. But I feel like even after a year of doing that, like it's like I had a year of doing that, and because of that, I kind of picked computer engineering, and I still didn't know what computer engineers did until like the end of my junior year. I kind of figured out what the actual paths for a computer engineer are. And part of that is just like that's just the problem with engineering in general is the field is actually huge.
Massive, yeah.
So many
There's actually
subgenres.
there are so many. Like way too, I wouldn't say too many, but like because like growing up, I'm like, I want to be an engineer, and I thought I've figured it out. I know exactly what I want to do, and I didn't realize that that's not even the beginning of what I need to think about. Like that is such a vague description of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Specializations
I,
within
I
the
pretty much
actual.
said I want to use a hammer. It's like okay,
You could be technician at that
and
point.
for what? Oh
Um,
man.
but the thing is like I so I honestly do think that kind of like going back to the Tao with the purpose and all this stuff, like
Bring us back.
each person has
Reeling it
like
back.
each person has the purpose and all these things. And I kind of think that that does show up at a young age. I don't know how much of it is probably determined by environment versus genetics kind of thing. But I do think at a very young age, kids can show an affinity for something. I mean, like if you look at Steve Jobs, right? He was tinkering, he was pulling apart the clock at his
Mhm.
house. He was messing with things. And that and he went on with the iPhone and everything like that. So I do think there is some affinity shown in the kids of like what their future path is. You just have to kind of like give them in the environment to do those, like
Mhm.
to mess around and show their
Unfortunately,
thing.
we as a society have failed with the distractions that we've brought upon ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, no,
oh,
that's
that
what I was gonna
hurts.
say. I think the big thing is maturity now. Like
Yeah.
kids back in the day,
Yes.
they used to be very mature by, the teens, even like early teens.
Yeah.
But nowadays we're like, all right, we just had a kid. We got to both work 60-hour weeks, so let's just give him an iPad and he'll figure it out. You
Yeah.
We've
know?
gone too simple. Too
And then
simple
by the
for the
time
Tao.
they're fucking 18, they're still children. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've just been gaming all the time or whatever. It,
Yeah, I
it,
was
And
gaming. I was gaming in high school. I
yeah,
turned
now
out
look
all
at
right.
you. Now
no,
look
but
at you.
but the big thing now too is like if you ask the average kid what do they want to be when they grow up, they're gonna say, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be
Yeah.
an influencer, I want to
Streamer.
do I want to be
Because
a
that's all they're
streamer,
exposed
something like
to.
that. Exactly. So there is no maturity in that. So by the time they get up to like 18 years old, they're like, oh well shit, the streaming idea failed. What the fuck do I do now?
I mean, in these type of days, there was more time to be bored,
Hmm.
to be
Yeah.
Yeah, to
in
just
that
figure things out.
stillness.
Yeah.
To going back to the Tao, to sit in that stillness of
Yeah.
just absolute monotony of boredom, just being bored.
Speaking of
Yeah. I
Bored
mean,
stillness,
boredom is like the instance where your brain is starting to churn its cogs. It's where it's starting to, okay, what am I gonna fill my time with? I'm not just gonna sit here and
mhm.
be bored. There.
Well, well, the town in part 12 would say, uh, therefore the sage seeks to satisfy the craving of the belly and not the insatiable longing of the eyes. I think that's a really cool. That is part of the part that like opened up to me like what they meant by getting rid of desire. right? And so, with your point earlier, Connor, about wanting to be a YouTuber, that's the insatiable longing of the eyes. That's looking at something, being like, this is cool, this looks fun, this is what I want to do. Where what you were talking about earlier, David, boredom, it's kind of like, well, what do I actually want to do? What are my options here? And hopefully having the maturity to go, what can I do to help other people? How can I contribute to the people around me?
I think
And I
this
think
is
part of that maturity is like understanding how much of your life is made possible by millions of people that you'll never see or meet. And I think
And
when that idea hit me, I was like, okay, I need to contribute now. I need to be a
mhm,
part of this, you know?
the millions of people who came before you that you'll never even know about, that
Yep.
you don't even
Exactly.
exist anymore.
That's what I think is important. Because, like, I don't necessarily think, striving to become a YouTuber is a bad thing,
Mhm.
but just make sure you're helping people. Not just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to play video games and people are going to watch and pay me millions of dollars. Like, that's not helping no one. It makes no sense for you to make that much money doing that. But if you're a YouTuber and you're teaching people how to weld, or you're a YouTuber and you're teaching people, CS programs, you know, or you're a YouTuber and you're teaching people about fucking nuclear engineering, then yeah, that's a
Mhm.
great thing. Kids watching that, growing up with that, and then being like, all right, well, nuclear engineering is really interesting. I might go into that.
there's a lot of really good stuff on YouTube where teaching. Like there are a lot of people on there
Yeah.
teaching things.
Mm.
It's just
A
the
I
lot
mean,
of
that's
way.
fantastic
literally how I
content.
learned how to. That's literally how I. This little hobbyist machine was built off of a community. It was
Yeah.
it was an
And it
entire
was
community
people coming
that
together.
was that
Yeah.
now they all contribute to this and make their own edits to the files that allow this to be a machine for anything, which to me is just cool. I love seeing that the
Yeah.
community is all working together to bounce ideas off of each other because it's a great tool and it was found through YouTube. It was because the person who started the original idea put out his idea and people were like, "Wow, that's amazing. That's interesting. Let me add to it." And that's when you start getting the engineering aspect of building on top of the backs of other people and continuing to go to what was it? The Babylon's Tower or whatever. No.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
that's the thing is like unfortunately with kids, I think like gaming, like and stuff like that, it kind of flashes. It's almost like a flashing for them. It's something that like kind of like looks cool and like it's fun, right? Gaming's fun. Because they don't, it's like the short dopamine hits, right? That's kind of what happens with gaming and like a lot of those YouTube videos, as opposed to they don't really understand the because it's a little bit more complex, things like welding or nuclear engineering. So it kind of takes some more time for things to click. And I think kids are very impressionable to the fact of like short dopamine hits. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of the issue is that, but then we show that to them. Like they're able to see it. And once they see it a couple times, they're going to keep on watching it versus actually learning something applicable to daily like life, to actually to the
Yeah.
belly versus the eyes.
Ellie versus the eyes.
Yeah. I feel like the eyes is kind of like those short little hits of dopamine where the belly is kind of the deep and unwavering satisfaction at a job well done. Like I, yes, getting, playing modded Minecraft and getting a little ding when my like quest is complete. Yeah, that feels good, right? But
I'm with
really
you there.
the stuff that hits to me about modded Minecraft is stepping back and looking at the base that I spent 20 hours building and how gorgeous it is and how functional it is, right? Or in real life, yes, like getting like getting those little instant hits is nice, but it's like for instance, I just finished a massive project that we've been working on since the beginning of this year. So like 9 months straight. There's like 5 different engineers involved in it. And I ended up working like a 12-hour day on Friday just to make sure everything was finished and put in its right place, right? And yeah, that stressed me out so much. And it didn't feel good. Like I was not being rewarded in the moment from doing it, But now that I'm like a couple days removed from that, there's just like there's just something inside of me that's like not that'll probably never go away. This feeling that wow, I spent so much time and effort on building this, and it's something I'm proud of, and it's something that's helping people, and like that feels better than any dopamine hit. But as a kid, you don't even have the opportunity to like experience that. You're just too young. You don't have the skills to actually like build it, right?
Right. No, and no, I'm so glad you brought that up too, because like it is so true. Whenever I go to like a no cool call or something, and I know like this unit's not running at all, I know there could be 100 issues wrong with this thing, and then
Mm.
just taking that time, stressing the fuck out, like, man, what the hell is this? Like, I don't, am I an HVAC tech? Should I be here? You know?
Yeah.
And then figuring it out, and then quoting it, and then stressing about it some more. Be like, did I make the right quote? I come out, I do the repair on it, and then it's cooling. Everything's working perfect. It's running perfectly. I go down to the store. I'm like, hey, everything's working well. They're like, yes,
Yeah.
I can feel it. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. That feeling ain't nothing like it, dude. Dude,
Ugh.
I remember the first like no cool call that I solved, and I was able to solve it right then and there. That feeling, man, nothing like it.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, it can be applied to
Yeah.
like everything too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. It's just
And that's what we should be
like
searching for. That's the
That is,
belly.
That
yeah,
that's that's the deep desire. The it's
doing the
beautiful.
Yeah.
It
purpose.
really is.
Yeah. Because I think one more, because I don't know. I love that line. The
Hmm.
insatiable eyes. They're insatiable longing. The eyes will always want. You will never be able to satisfy them, right? But the cravings of the belly, like you can be fed and be full and be happy, right? Where if you're constantly trying to satisfy this longing of the eyes, you'll never be happy because it'll never stop wanting. It will never be satisfied. Your eyes are never full, you know? Um, and I think that's kind of what Connor and I are describing is like this feeling of satisfaction that actually makes me not like I'm not wanting anything in those moments. Like I don't feel the need to keep moving on to the next thing. I'm actually satisfied. I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
And I kind of move along here in part like 17, the adulterated influence. It talks about rulers, right? And in part one, in paragraph one of the unadulterated influence, it says, in the highest antiquity, the people did not know that there were their rulers. And then a little bit low in part two, it says, how irresolute did those earliest rulers appear, showing by their reticence the importance which they set upon their words. Their work was done and their entertainings were successful, while the people all said, we are as we are of ourselves. I kind of looked this up a little bit more because we are as we are of ourselves made no sense to me. Apparently, what's saying is that people should feel like they did the task themselves. Like,
They accomplished it.
yeah. And so, like, yeah, the ruler kind of put in all this effort and everything to get the task done. But the people feel like they did it themselves because the ruler isn't being boastful. They aren't letting the people know that they are the ruler. They are just doing it, right? And I think that's a major portion of this book is look, you should do the thing you're going to do and then just let it be done. And it kind of says in like part 16 as well, like above it, like they do the purpose and then they return to their stillness. And it says this a couple other times sprinkled throughout, like they do their thing and then like right before that they like start becoming known and stuff, they pull away because their thing's done and that's it. They don't need all the aftermath. They don't need to be known. They don't need to be they should not be boastful, prideful about the thing they do. You should not let everyone know. They should
When
just
you
do it.
when you said it sprinkles into it, it kind of I'm gonna bring it back just a little bit and into number 13, favor and disgrace would seem equally to be feared. And a little bit further, disgrace is being in a low position after the enjoyment of favor. The getting of favor leads to the apprehension of losing it. And I think that
Mm.
is a very that's it's important. It's, in the sense of what you were talking about, how the no desires, the pulling back, because like there's also in this book I get a lot of everything is relative to each other. They talk about it a lot. The black needs white to actually be, a thing. The shadows need the light to actually be a shadow. Favor and disgrace are, they're together. They come as a pair, and going into that fame, and then you have fame and, like, again, favor and disgrace. Fame and disgrace could be said as is similar and pretty much the same thing as what it's saying. And seeking that fame could lead to, your downfall. The hero lives long enough to become the villain sort of aspect.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think part of it too is like if you are being boastful about it and prideful about it, no one's going to respect the thing you did. No one's going to respect you. It's like arrogance, right? It-
Hmm.
I think internal arrogance is actually kind of a good thing because it gives you confidence. But that honestly, that might just be called confidence if it's internal. But the
Hmm.
external confidence, like where you're boasting and showing off to everyone, like, oh yeah, I did this. Like, oh, I'm great. Oh, I read this entire book. Um, stuff like that is stuff like that is not what one should be doing because you should just let your actions speak for themselves. And if you're not, you're shoving it in everyone's face. They're gonna hate your action, even if it was good and better for everyone. And it's almost
Yeah.
like a paradox because you think by putting in the effort to make your actions known, people will know about and you'll become better off because people know about it. But by doing nothing, by just doing your action, letting it happen, doing nothing, it you benefit from it. And I mean that's the Tao, just let it go,
I
let it
got
flow.
from the way you're speaking that that's literally 22, right? The increase granted to humility. He is free from
Yes.
self-display, and therefore he shines, free from self-assertion, and therefore he is distinguished, from self-boasting, and therefore his merit is acknowledged, from self-complacency, and therefore he acquires superiority.
I loved part 22. I thought it was such
Yeah,
a
I really like
insightful
that too.
part.
It was I again, in the margin, I just squared that part and I said, I like this. That's all I put.
I mean, being humble allows people to respect your accomplishments.
This is 14. I just wrote what? Because again, I couldn't get it. It was paragraph 3. The manifestation of mystery. We meet it and do not see
Mm.
its front. We follow it and do not see its back. When we can lay hold of the Tao of old to direct the things of the present day and are able to know it as it was of old in the beginning, this is called unwinding the clue of the Tao.
Oh,
Mm,
this is what I was kind of referring to earlier when I was like
yeah.
talking about we have all we can work with is what was originally found out about the way of the Tao in the past, and we just have to work off that. So we can't know the Tao because it's ever like I said throughout all of time. It's something that will take us. What I think he's saying is like something that will take us infinite amount of time or forever to actually fully understand the Tao, which is why it's impossible. And because it's infinite, it has no front, it has no back, so we can't see it, we can't follow it, even if we
Oh,
do.
okay.
And so, but what we can do is lay hold of the Tao of old to direct things of the present day. Those are the learnings that people
Um,
have come up with of the Tao in the past that we can now apply to our current day, kind of what we're doing right now by reading the Tao Te Ching. And now we can use that and build off of it because technically, we are kind of getting closer to understanding Tao throughout time, but we would never be able to fully do it. So it's like a clue, the Tao, because it's not a full representation. It's just what we've kind of learned about it. That's how I pick up that.
I see. No, that makes a lot of sense. That opens that up to me because I was
Yeah.
genuinely confused on that aspect, especially with the way it was worded. It was not helping my brain whatsoever.
You definitely think of the Tao as like something that's completely incomprehensible because it's weird to like think of something as incomprehensible because what does that mean?
Hmm.
Obviously you don't know what it means, but the only way I can really understand it is like something that's completely infinite in everything, time and space, and because of that, we cannot fully understand it because it is infinite, and we are not infinite beings.
I think that's a very important thing to kind of draw from all of the books that we've read and all the philosophy that we've ever known, really, is we truly won't ever understand anything,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
fully. So the
The
point is to
absurd
just
of
try.
of philosophy.
Yeah.
it is absurd to try to figure it out for sure.
Figure out something that you know is incomprehensible.
Yeah, that there is. You try to figure it out when you know there is no answer.
It was 20. 26.
26.
I kind of
Oh,
wrote,
yeah, this one was kind of strange.
yeah, I guess I felt this was a little bit too much of a tip of the iceberg, not really a deep dive. But for me, it was kind of staying in your realm, your lane. It's sort of what I got from the quality of gravity.
Yeah, I think although he may have brilliant prospects to look at, that's kind of desire, right? He does not go towards a desire. Instead, he stays where he needs to be and does his purpose. Um, and is calm about it. It says he's indifferent to them, to those brilliant prospects. And so just yeah, I agree with that. You're just staying in your place, you're ignoring desires, you're doing your purpose.
Following the
Yeah.
stillness. It's with this mystical sense of, now I have to kind of rework my idea of gravity into and to put it into the context of this book so that I can
Mhm.
understand the metaphor that is being presented to me, the deeper
Right.
meanings within it. And my gosh,
And like
there's a good
at
amount of
that
that.
at this point in time, gravity, like the thing that holds us to the earth, that concept didn't really exist and was called gravity.
Hmm.
So I think gravity is like back then would mean like a mood, like a heavy mood, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
everybody was still
A big
floating around
mood.
right now.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. This was before Isaac Newton figured out that we should all stay on the earth. So everyone was ignoring that rule.
The Tao was trying to get ahead of the times, but nobody was paying attention.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, no one, not a single person.
Just too fractured during that time.
The
For us to be
Lao Tzu,
grounded.
Lao Tzu, right? Wasn't that the guy who wrote this? Lao Tzu. That guy was the only person on the ground. Everyone else was still floating.
He was the only person on the ground.
He was anchored.
Yeah. Why don't
All
you
the
guys
other
come down
towers
here?
that he convinced just started coming to the ground. Like, hey, how are you guys doing that? You got to believe in the Tao, buddy. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
The
What's
Tao is
that?
gravity.
Well, it
That's
has
it.
no name.
It's
We don't have a
unfathomable.
name for it yet, but once you figure it out, you'll be down here.
In our capitalistic society, how do y'all feel about the taking no action aspect of this Taoism teaching? Specifically, I guess I'm talking about 29. I highlighted the last part where it says, "Hence the sage puts
Oh,
away
I highlighted that too.
excessive effort, extravagancy, and easy indulgence." Which, on one side, I can see that is kind of relating to not pleasing the insatiable eyes, not giving
Yeah,
all try to satisfy something that, like Seth said, is never going to be satisfied. But
Yeah, and I think
also,
it kind of. Oh, you can finish.
well, I was going to say also in the sense of flowing like the water example of I mean, not taking any action but just following the flow. It's, in my opinion, honestly, a little difficult to put that abstract idea into today's age and, well, our society. And I'm curious as to what y'all's opinions or thoughts are about this taking no action standpoint, this following the flow. Because I mean, again, Tao is supposed to be incomprehensible, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. I'm gonna be absurd here. And what the fuck does following the flow mean? You know?
Well, I think the part that's difficult for me is says the sage puts away excessive effort and easy indulgence. So like I'm not supposed to try too hard, but I'm also not supposed to purely do the things that like make me happy easily, right? Like easy indulgence is clearly like YouTube mode, right? But excessive effort
desire.
is
Yeah,
like unnatural striving for something that you either may not ever achieve or would consume your whole being that might be self-serving, right? I don't really know where extravagance works in here. I guess it's just back to
fame.
that idea of like fame. Um, so I think that's something that I somewhat resonate with, but it's really hard to find a balance. Especially because I'm someone that, and maybe this is again the capitalist speaking, I'm kind of like, what is the point of life without dreams? Without striving, without something that you're working really hard to achieve and get, right? And maybe that's kind of a failure in my philosophy, and maybe that causes me a lot of undue stress and pain. Um, but I feel that like I think I'm really uncomfortable with the idea of saying to put away excessive effort when I feel like we live in a world where we're moving towards less and less effort, like doing less and less and less. I mean, we're more sedentary than we've ever been. Things are easier to get and achieve than they've ever been. Like information is shared more easily. It's easier for us to get food and water and shelter than it's ever been in the history of humanity. So as we keep moving, and these are things that are good, but I also think they clearly have some negative aspects, right?
I mean, I think when you talk about the negative aspects, my first thought immediately goes to hustle culture.
Yeah, the excessive effort, the morning routine crowd.
The morning routine, the morning routine crowd. Yeah, it's. I mean, my first thought is seeing it as a sort of sense of burnout of some aspect of your life, or maybe the endless pursuit of that success. The
I,
But
I want to
Oh,
say it's
you're hitting me at my core right now, David. But I've already I'll get into that in a bit. What were you guys gonna say?
go ahead, Howie.
I was just gonna say because I'm trying to think because I know the excessive effort, and I kind of think I know what he means, and I do see it as oh, don't try too hard. I can see how that interpretation is easily there, but I don't. I kind of feel like that's not what he's trying to say because as a blacksmith, that's your thing in life. It takes hard work. You're going to be putting in
Yeah.
a lot of effort. You're going to be putting in a lot of hard work. And I don't think he's also saying like, to improve your craft from what it was, you're going to have to put in even more work because you're doing something new, right? I don't think he's necessarily saying like, don't work hard to like get your things done as like the excessive effort. I think what he might be saying is excessive effort is referring to not not go out of your way to make your thing. Basically it's just focus. I think like you are focusing on your specific purpose, your specific action, and you are putting your effort and work into that, but everything else like kind of like pushing it out for like marketing for example or something like that, or like trying to get your thing done so that way you can get some kind of external reward, something like that, like you're putting an effort to like try to turn your thing into something that gives you external reward, or you're like again like back with the prince example, the gravity one. He may have brilliant prospects to look at, but he quietly remains in his proper place. It would have taken some excessive effort to go look at these brilliant prospects, but but he's specifically doing his thing. So I think it's like excessive effort in like an external sense rather than your internal action. But I also think like reaching here. I
I wouldn't
kind of
say you're
have it.
reaching entirely.
No,
No,
I think that is a
not at
very
all.
good viewpoint of it, like and bringing it back, like great callback to the gravity. I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Monstrally awesome callback. But no, yeah, I mean, it hits in line with the entire one of the big points that we got from this, and then that being the desire of doing the work for the desire of the accomplishment or the desire of the fame and glory that you get from him. When really you should, from a meaning that you should just be doing the work to do the work. Like Albert Camus says, the absurd work, not to search for the external gratifications, the the accomplishment, or not the accomplishment, but the things you get from it. Just do the work for doing the work. Like
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm getting from you too, Howie.
that
I think it's a good interpretation.
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say we kind of have to define what excessive effort is, extravagance, and easy indulgence, right? And that's that kind of thing is all just dependent on what you want out of life. So like me personally, like I don't want fame. I don't want fortune. I just want to, make enough to support my family and, have a good calm life, be the best at what I do and all that good stuff. Or as good as I can at what I do at least. Um like even with this, book club. I don't care if we ever get famous. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
I'm just doing this cuz I get to read a book and talk about philosophy with friends. Like that
Yeah.
that
That's
is
Right.
fine.
more
Yeah.
than enough for me right there.
It is. It
Um
is.
Mhm.
and I think it also just goes back to like back whenever we first started this book club, right? When I gave those like five things and how important they are to you, like it was like financial
Oh yeah.
security and family and friends and free time and all that stuff, right? I think that is how you can kind of define how to live life just within any philosophy. At the end of the day, it's just, they all have the same things of like, vanity's bad, fame and fortune isn't necessary, and extravagance and vices and all this stuff are bad. And at the end of the day, I think it really is just about being a good person, trying to live your life in such a way that you can be proud of it and that you didn't harm anyone getting to where you are.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think for me, this is kind of personal, but I think in some ways, a lot of the value I get from these talks are literally different mindsets to look at life. And I think something that you said earlier, David, that resonated with me is like as excessive effort as kind of in the gravity bit, right? It's like moving away from your core. I think for me personally, I've been really stressed out. Like it was getting bad. Like burnout probably isn't the right word to describe it. I was really at the edge of like what I was able to take. Um, but then I looked back at all the things I was doing, and they were all good. They were all going towards a purpose. It was traveling. It was fun. I was spending time with friends. It didn't make any sense, right? And I think part of this is something that's been like building for a while in me. And the hardest part for me is like there are times in my life where I am doing working very very hard and I've been entirely at peace. I think about like I had a semester my junior year in college where I was waking up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at 9:30 p.m. every night. I was like literally going to school for all my 8 a.m.s and I'd be at school until like dinner time. I'd come home, eat dinner, go to bed. Right. So I was working very hard to like, keep moving forward in my degree, make sure I was doing better in all my classes. And part of that was to service like actually having free weekends. But part of it was because it actually brought me peace. And yet now I'm in this period in my life where I'm also working very hard and I have no peace. And what's the difference, right? The difference is like back then I was moving towards something that like rested well in my soul. And I think if I'm being completely honest with myself and I look at some of the things I'm striving for and working towards, they haven't quite rested well in my soul. And when you, and I think in some ways, like the desire for fame will never rest well in your soul because, again, it's insatiable. It's always like, it's all consuming. And I think that for me personally, what this has made me realize is that I needed to really do an inventory on the things that I think are good for me and figure out if those things actually like align with who I am, and in some ways trusting my gut more. Because a lot of these things were things that as I started doing them, as I started striving for them, something just felt wrong. But I was like, well, this is just like the difficulty of trying something new or like pushing forward. But I think now that I'm on this other side of things, I can realize that the truth is that they're not moving in a direction that makes me happy and brings me peace. Um, and that's why I've been so unsettled and so stressed. So for me, I think, and just to go to the flip side of that, there have also been times in my life where I've been doing nothing. I've been chilling. And those times also stress me out. And so I think there's kind of like this middle point where you are putting a lot of effort in, but it's towards things that resonate, things that are at the center of your gravity. right? And not things that are trying to pull you away from where you're supposed to be. I think this is like a lot of people, and they have like they're unsatisfied at their jobs. This is usually a lot of what it is. It's hard to motivate yourself to work really hard for something that doesn't like fall on your through line, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I got from the taking no action. It's more like taking no action to move away from where you're supposed to be.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's
That's
a
a great way to
beautiful.
put it, Seth.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah,
a
that was
beautiful
good.
mental.
I think you had us
What you
all
just.
just enthralled with your
Yes,
monologue.
Yeah.
very much. I think a beautiful mental practice is what you just mentioned, taking inventory of what you think is good for you, and that's something that I think I will definitely implement in my life. Is taking inventory of what I do believe is good for me. Because I
Dude,
mean,
Howie, make a short of that. You got to make a short of that one.
Dude, put on YouTube Shorts.
you
I
too
think
short.
that would be good, actually. Actually, no, you're right. I should do that.
Already
Yes,
giving
give
me
Howie more
ideas.
work.
More,
More
more
work.
effort, more effort.
It probably wouldn't be
All
that. I
Connor
mean,
did was
I would like have a
suggest.
timestamps anyways as I've listened through this.
Yeah,
So
how would do that? Do that. Yeah.
it should take you like what a minute, right? Just come on.
Yeah, just a
It
couple
can't be
minutes.
that
Come on.
bad. Can't be that
Yeah,
hard. Come
dude.
on now.
Not that hard.
um,
Wow. Oh, I think that was great. I think that could be a great way to end it, unless anyone wants to talk
Yeah.
about anything specifically.
there was
Fire.
only one more
Cool.
page left that we didn't really touch on, but I don't really know. To the war aspect of me, I sort of just skipped that because it was to me kind of cookie cut. Like, okay, you know, you don't want to go out and hurt other people, but if something comes at you, which also quick little note
Yeah.
before we do end it, interesting that it never entirely tells you don't go against violence. It's when it's necessary, do what you have to do.
Oh, I think it's very
Yeah.
practical. If like
It
someone's
is very
breaking into your
practical.
house and they start like threatening to murder you or like, I mean, you gotta act on that. You can't
The
just like
Tao says
see.
flow.
This is something that's nice too. Is like it's not saying like it's telling you like because that like
It's not
to return
idealistic.
violence is like something that takes effort and it's not just going with the flow. And so I think this is a
Yeah.
nice description to say, hey, look, the Tao isn't just about doing nothing. That's not what we're trying to say here. We're trying to say you should be doing things, but don't do things that go against your path,
Yeah,
basically.
don't
Yeah.
seek violence. But, if
If you
someone's,
feel led to it.
trying to murder you, then yeah, you gotta fight back. You can't just be
Yeah.
like, hey, this is against the Tao. I'm not fighting back.
I'm just
That
gonna let
makes
it
no fucking
happen.
sense.
I'm
I,
water. Just hit me, bro.
I do think it's good that it says that because I could definitely see people being like taken to an extreme. It's like I'm going to do literally nothing because
Yeah. All right, fine
that's
then. I won't desire anything, and I won't do anything either.
I'll just sit here forever,
Okay, cool.
which is a
Uh,
good way to actually also and it is a little reminder that hey guys, the Tao isn't just telling you to do nothing; it's telling you that you should be doing your thing, but don't go against your thing.
Yeah.
do the thing for the sake of doing the thing, not for any other external factors.
Yeah, like don't boast about it, don't be prideful. Okay, well,
Fire.
Yeah,
yeah,
great way.
well,
Great,
next we have part
great
two.
introduction to the Eastern philosophy.
Yeah. And we'll be done with the towel next episode, part two, and then we get spin the wheel again.
Wheel, 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 wheel.
Yeah. If
Seb,
you
it's
want to
got to
see
be
that
one of
wheel
us this time,
spun,
right?
follow us on Patreon.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be on Patreon to see the wheel get spun. Yeah. I'm just gonna put a black screen if you're not on
if
Patreon.
you know,
Oh
well,
um,
man.
yeah, but all right, part two. We'll rate it. We'll finish off the towel and then select our next book into the next episode.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
beautifully
See you,
done,
All right.
boys.
See
may
y'all.
you all have a good Tao
Yeah.
day.
Yes. Deuces.
Deuces.
Thank you for listening to today's book club. If you want to support us, please feel free to leave a rating and review on wherever you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, so either one of those would be great help. Also, leave a follow. That'd be amazing too. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, please leave some comments, like the video, subscribe. Another way you can help support us is we are Amazon affiliates, which means you'll see in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast on the episode there will be a link to the book that we are currently covering, or if we spin the wheel to select our next book, you'll also see a link to the next book that we will be covering as well. And these links are to the books that the exact same books that we are reading during the podcast. So, if you're going to read the book anyways, it'd be a great help if you could use the link. It's going to be no additional cost to you, and we do get a small uh, percentage of the proceeds. So you get a book, and we also get a benefit. It's a win-win, honestly. And even if you don't get, like, even if you don't use the link, I still recommend getting the book. One, because it helps to read what we're reading, so you can kind of have some more context into what we are discussing, as well as having your own book. We're not covering everything in the book on the podcast. That's impossible to do in an hour and a half, and so it allows you to get some really nice information in there that again we just can't cover. And it also allows you to annotate your own book. So, if years down the line, you can kind of come back to the book, kind of remind yourself on the lessons you learned. And, if you reread it again, you can have almost like a conversation with yourself back in time too. It's really an investment to, I think, read and buy books. So again, thank you for listening to Book Club, and can't wait to catch you in the next one.